Well, good evening. This half hour will consider Eden Prairie Local News. The digital online newspaper is 5 years old this month. Our nonprofit venture also has a new CEO-publisher, Mark H. Weber. Not to be confused with Mark A. Weber, a celebrated newsman and one of EPLN's founders. We'll meet Mark H. later, but first, we'll have a chat with Steve Schewe.
Yeah, we publish 3 stories a day.
In July, the retiring publisher shared his thoughts about EPLN's remarkable journey. Steve had chosen to retire before a very delicate surgery to remove a benign tumor from the membranes that protect his brain. He did not want Eden Prairie Local News to wait for his recovery. He told the board of directors, get a new publisher, and pronto.
So we're on our way to pick up some sample copies of the 2024 Eden Prairie Local News Voter Guide.
During Steve's tenure as publisher, the subscriber count has grown to 3,859. Like many of the nation's daily papers, the weekly community newspaper business was dying. But in Eden Prairie, community leaders, experienced journalists, volunteers, and a tech wizard kept it going. The nonprofit, nonpartisan, nonfiction news operation is winning readers and awards. So our man with the EPLN cap was honored at City Hall on September 2. It was proclaimed Steve Schewe Day.
Everyone to get him will get a big picture. You might even get out on the local news.
There's a possibility of that. I don't control the editorial. Part of what I'd like to leave as a kind of a legacy is the idea that this will go on beyond those of us who were kind of in the founding generation. I love to read the paper myself, real connection and chemistry between our people in the organization and the people that we're serving in the community. And we like to think that we're going to create a pipeline from the different journalism programs right through our local community newspaper, and then, to help do our little paragraph to revive local news and news generally.
Okay, I'm a board member, okay, so I can ask these questions. What have you learned?
I've learned how much I love Eden Prairie.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Eden Prairie with my wife and family in 1993, it was kind of a bedroom community. We were going to Pax Christi at the time, and that's why we came out to the suburbs. And, the main thing that I cared about in those days was how long it took me to get to the airport.
Okay.
And I when I started to volunteer with different organizations at Eden Prairie, I started to get to know the people, and it's really kind of a small town as opposed to a suburb.
Sure. Did you ever think you'd be a publisher and a CEO of an online newspaper?
I didn't. I have had a lifelong love affair with news, actually. My grandmother gave me my first subscription to U.S. News and World Report when I was 7 years old.
At 7?
Yeah.
Great,
yeah.
good.
And so I grew up reading the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and things like that. I had pursued a career in business, and it was really during the pandemic that I was looking around to try to figure out what I was going to read to find out about the local elections, who to vote for city council or for school board. Mm-hmm. And that was the fall of 2020, and I called up a friend in town and said, do you want to start a newspaper? So that was kind of the beginning of...
Who was that person?
Trish Vani.
Oh, yeah. Trish Vani, yes.
And Trish said, well, there's this guy named Jeff Strate.
Me, yes.
Who is already working on a newspaper or a newsroom, and you should go talk to him.
Sure.
So that was how we got started in 2020 in the fall.
Also embedding of AI into our device.
Well, when Brad left the editor's job, he basically came back to when he found out I was going to be the publisher, and he said, you can't write for the paper anymore if you're the publisher. And that was really hard for me because I had grown to love reporting and writing at that point. And he basically made the point that, editorial side and business side need to be two different houses.
And now one more personal question. How does your family take what you've been doing the past 4 years? Have they been living with it, or is this just more of you the way you are?
Well, I can be pretty intense, I think, and I've been that way all my life. I'm a little less intense now that I'm a little older. My wife is still working, and my kids are doing their thing, and they love hearing the stories that we tell around the dinner table about what I've been doing with Eden Prairie Local News.
Some of those stories were about advertisers and groups like the Eden Prairie Community Foundation, the Lions, and the League of Women Voters. Now, we're not alone, of course. We've had help from a national organization called the Institute for Nonprofit News.
Yeah, we couldn't have done this without the journalism services organizations. INN, or the Institute for Nonprofit News, was really the first helper. We're fortunate to have a couple of their people living here in the Twin Cities, Jonathan Keeling and Lisa Gardner Springer. And I remember the day that I was invited out to a restaurant with them. When we went to our first INN meetings, they were online because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And Jonathan invited those of us who had been listening in the Twin Cities to the national meeting to a restaurant. And so we got to know each other, and that was probably in 2021, and they've been amazing partners. So to say more about INN, it's gone through a metamorphosis in the last 5 years.
Sure.
Originally, it was a collection of investigative news organizations and vertical news organizations.
It started out on the East Coast, I believe.
It would cover. They would cover one topic broadly, like a national source for crime information or for the environmental information. Today, hyperlocal publications like ours were about 20% of their total group when we joined INN, and at the time there were like 200 members. Today there are 500 members, and half of them are like Eden Prairie Local News. So they're hyperlocal publications that are covering a specific community and doing a lot of the same sort of thing that we do.
Now, 4 of us from Eden Prairie Local News attended the national convention of the INN, which was held in Minneapolis in June.
Yes.
You were there. What was your take?
Well, there was so much life and energy in the group, and people doing amazing things. There was a fellow from Sahan Journal, Michael Tortorello, who I had been talking to.
And what's Sahan Journal?
Sahan Journal is a publication that covers the immigrant community and people of color across greater Minnesota.
Sure.
And Michael and I had been talking for years, but had never met in person. So there was a chance to basically run into him and visit together.
And Sahan Journal is one of those nonprofit newspapers in Minnesota that we have a relationship to. We also have MinPost, and we also have the Minnesota Reformer. We can publish articles that they do that we cannot cover.
Yes.
And vice versa. And that's really helped, I think.
Yes, I've been so grateful for their republication offers because we do Eden Prairie really well. And it's also important to connect the dots between what goes on in Eden Prairie to either the state level or even to the national level. And so MinPost basically provides all of our coverage of the state legislature. And we have regular contributions from Sahan Journal and Minnesota Reformer as well.
If you were to sit down with some new startups in the Twin Cities or wherever, newspapers, on nonprofit newspapers, what advice would you give them? Maybe 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, we just had one of those sessions last Thursday. I went up to Roseville to talk to a group of people that are kind of doing what we were doing 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's an organization that we call MNNN here in town that we started last year.
What does that stand for?
Metro Nonprofit News Network.
Okay.
And since a lot of the small weeklies went out of business last April, we called a meeting in the public library in Eden Prairie and got people from 10 different towns into the room, and we said, we're still trying to figure this out, and here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And a number of them have kind of taken a leaf out of our book. There's a Woodbury NewsNet is going in Woodbury on the other side of town.
There's something in Carver County, rather.
Carver County Local News and Prairie Lake News Compass is also going. So there are 4 of us now that are part of Minnesota News Network, and we're always looking for additional people who are in trance with the idea of creating accurate information so that people can connect to their local community and with each other.
So what does the group do? Sustainability is a big issue with all these startups, including ours.
Well, when you're starting, I think the key thing is to have a professional journalist, at least one, who can be the standard bearer for quality and accuracy. Then it's nice to have the kind of board that we have of community leaders who are tapped into the community and can kind of help build the support over time. People like Jennifer Loon and Roy Terwilliger, Mark Weber, of course, did an amazing job with getting this thing off the ground.
Pastor Rod Anderson.
Pastor Rod Anderson still, I mean, it's kind of a Lake Wobegon story, but he went out and sold all of our initial advertisers.
Yeah, that guilt thing works, doesn't it? Yeah, I like it.
So those are 2 things, and then I guess if I could add a third, it would be to create an opportunity for people to volunteer. We do a lot of outreach events every year in Eden Prairie, and people will come up to me and say, you know, I read you every morning, or I have, you know, I get one of your newsletters, and what can I do to help? And I think that's been the source of some of our most amazing people over the course of the last 5 years. It's truly a community-centered project.
What will you tell newbies with this kind of initiative about sticking with it? Because there are going to be hard times.
We had some bumps in the road, serious bumps in the road in the first couple of years. I can remember a particular meeting where there was sort of a major conversation between the journalist and me about, you know, journalistic values and whether, you know, who was kind of leading the parade.
Yeah.
We worked it out. And, you know, that's, I think, one of the things about my prior career is I had a lot of experience in listening and in trying to resolve conflict. And there will be conflict.
Well, I had a conversation with Nancy T. Lukens, our board chair, about the conflict between publishers and journalists side of things. I said, it's just part of the business.
Yes,
okay?
it is.
It's just part of the business.
Because you need both.
Yeah.
You need the financial health and the organizational resiliency, and you also need the journalistic impact.
I said, you're always going to have that tension, but it's good tension in the long run. So
well, and to Brad Canham's point, when he got me to stop writing when I became the publisher, it's important to have that separation of editorial independence. Part of what Eden Prairie Local News is about at its best is doing some innovation, trying to spread that innovation out through the journalism service organizations that we're part of, like MNNN and, you know, INN and TNC and others. And so, you know, I'm hoping that continues.
One of the things that I tell people, and you tell people, and others tell people, is that, in a sense, we're a news center, a digital newspaper, but we're also a community service organization.
Yeah, we exist to provide trusted reporting for the community and compelling stories and news our readers can use. And 80% of our readers typically come in over their phones. So in effect, Eden Prairie Local News is almost always in their pocket, wherever they go. And and I think that's going to make a difference over the long term. Towns that have a vibrant news presence tend to have higher voting, less corruption, more vibrant leadership. There's a variety of things that, you know, are kind of the truth and beauty side of what we're doing, aside from the fun that we have when we put out the paper.
Steve, what were you doing before you came to Eden Prairie Local News? What was your career, your profession?
I spent 25 years running a small consulting company. Most of the work that we did, I remember my daughter joking when I was first consulting, somebody asked her that question, and she said, "Daddy is a corporate marriage counselor." So I did a lot of work in organizational development, change management, and business planning for an international clientele. So I did that all over the world for a lot of large corporations.
So this was just another phase in your career.
Yes. I mean, it was really kind of my retirement or legacy project.
It couldn't have been luckier for Eden Prairie Local News to have you around.
Or for me. I mean, I needed to basically feel like I had something in my life that was keeping me going.
A strong community through informed civic participation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Eden Prairie City Council proclaims Tuesday, today, September 2nd, 2025, as Steve Schewe Day.
We were founded during the pandemic. We met by Zoom for something like 9 months, and I didn't know most of the people who were involved when I first got started. And I'm glad to say that I know them now.
I have personally been involved in many, many volunteer organizations. I have never known a volunteer who lived and breathed the mission of the organization as much as you have, Steve.
Steve, how long have you had this space?
Oh, we've had it pretty much since the beginning. It served as corporate headquarters in the first year or two.
Well, put it on the truck.
What? Yeah, it actually probably would be better to go
I'm so grateful for the surgical team at Mayo that removed my tumor and for the extraordinary care that I've received at Abbott Northwestern and at the Sister Kenny, Courage Kenny site here in Golden Valley. With their help, continued help and support, I hope to be home by Halloween and out of this wheelchair within a few months. Thanks.
And now this.
Well, Newsmatch is a matching grant provided by the Institute for Nonprofit News.
Every November, we raise money for Eden Prairie Local News through a public media type matching campaign.
Newsmatch is our biggest donation drive of the year. From November to December, every dollar given is matched dollar for this promotion.
Eden Prairie Local News is really a community effort.
Just go to our website, click on donate, and you can donate until midnight on December 31st.
In fact, I think of Eden Prairie Local News as being produced and paid for by the citizens of Eden Prairie.
Thank you.
Help sustain Eden Prairie Local News with a tax-deductible donation before the year's end to qualify your news source for significant matching grants. Thank you. New publisher Mark H. Weber is new to Eden Prairie Local News, but he spent most of his working life on the business side of good journalism. Well, Mark, thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Why did you decide to change careers out of retirement to become a newspaper man again of a nonprofit?
Well, I was a newspaper man for 30 years, working for the Star Tribune, Pioneer Press, Denver Post, and most recently the Sun papers in town.
Right.
And what I saw is how troubled the newspaper industry was and how these news holes around the country from papers shutting down were affecting communities. I had watched Eden Prairie Local News for the past 5 years when the local Eden Prairie News shut down, and just the fabulous work they did. So I was watching it from afar, and when Steve Schewe decided to step down, they needed a local person like myself, 30-year resident, with some newspaper background, and I decided it was a perfect match to come help one of, I think, the most important service organizations in Eden Prairie for what they do for the community.
Now, did you run this by your wife or your daughters?
Oh yeah, yeah.
what do they say?
They saw my passion for the newspaper, my passion for Eden Prairie, and said the same thing. This is the perfect job at the perfect time. You can help this organization get it to the next level, and we have big plans for the next couple of years. I'm really excited about being there.
What are some of those plans?
Well, we have plans to reach out to more donors because that's our funding effort, and our big donor drive is in November and December called Newsmatch. It's a matching program, so every dollar donated during that time is actually matched dollar for dollar, and those dollars go right to the funding of the journalists that cover the Eden Prairie stories that we have. And then we have plans for the website. We have plans to reach out to more communities, to cover more segments, diversity, underserved communities. We have lots of plans in the journalism area. We cover a lot of things now, schools, government, spiritual communities, very well. But we want to cover more. We produce 1,000 stories a year, and we think we can grow that number and really do a nice job with everything Eden Prairie needs from a local paper.
Now, you're going out meeting a lot of people in town. Tell us about what it's like being the new CEO editor and your runs around Eden Prairie.
Well, the first thing I wanted to do is network with all the supporters of Eden Prairie Local News. That means the government, local government, the mayor's been a great supporter of Eden Prairie Local News. The city council has been a great supporter, as well as the school. And the school's been a wonderful supporter of Eden Prairie Local News. So that was my first job. And what I'm hearing is just the love for the site. 5 years, people have grasped the site like it's their own, and they understand what we do. We attend a lot of local events like the Entrepreneurial Jamboree this past weekend, where all the Eden Prairie dignitaries are and businesses, so we do a great job of networking.
Yeah, we sat together making pitches for Eden Prairie Local News.
Right, with all the consumers driving by.
There's so much more happening in town I never realized.
Right, that's what I'm realizing too, that there's so much going on in Eden Prairie that we cover. And it's a fabulous resource for finding that out, Eden Prairie Local News. We have an event calendar that has virtually every event going on in Eden Prairie.
What's the biggest surprise you've had so far?
The biggest surprise is really how much it's loved in the community. I knew it was loved, I knew it was supported, but when I'm out talking to people, it's just amazing what they tell me about Eden Prairie Local News. The coverage, the staff, the volunteers, just great support in the community. We are accessible 24/7. That's the most important thing.
Well, let's talk about the journalism, about the writing, about the stories we do.
We do the journalism. That's why people come to our site for over 1,000 stories a year for the government news, the school news. We have people going to our site to find out what the scores are. But not only that, but real nice features about people. We like to be kind of the nice next door neighbor where you can go and find out stories about what's going on in your community, what's going on in your neighborhood.
And I write some of those stories, not many recently, but I do. And one of the things that we've got going for us, say compared to Facebook groups, other social media platforms, is that everything we write is vetted. We have to say it's got to be fact. It's edited by other professionals, and so you can trust us on that level.
We are a professional journalism organization. Our journalists are trained professionals. We have trained editors. We are a very serious news organization, unlike other online sites which might not be as such. So
it's hard to tell because there's way too much information available now.
It is. And unless you're editing it properly, you're getting information that you can't trust. With Eden Prairie Local News, you can trust us because we've gone through a vetting process to make sure it's only the information that's accurate, timely, and important to the citizens of Eden Prairie.
Now, we do have an open meeting. The public's invited, and that's in October, later in October.
Right. October 20th is our annual meeting as a nonprofit. we have to have an annual meeting where we publish all of our numbers and we talk about the wonderful things we've done. We've won awards this year from national organizations we're going to talk about. We're going to meet the staff, meet the editors, get ideas for more stories. It's going to be a great event.
Anyone can attend. That's
Anyone can attend. It's at the
Okay.
Preserve Barn.
The Preserve Barn. I think everyone in town who's been here for half a year at least knows where that thing is.
Absolutely. Because we're celebrating our
Or so,
5-year
yes.
anniversary, there's going to be a big birthday cakes.
Maybe 5 big ones.
Maybe, depending on the crowd. We
from
expect a big
Costco or
crowd.
something like that?
Absolutely. Our Eden
Good.
Prairie store.
Good. Journalistically, we've talked a little bit where you want to take Eden Prairie local news. Now, the political climate for newspapering around the country is not what it used to be, especially right now. And that could creep into local community newspapering as well. How are we going to deal with it?
Well, as hyper-local, we're the place to go to find out all the election coverage for next year, which is a big year for elections, as we know. And we're going to be covering not only the local, but we'll be touching on the statewide elections too. We're nonpartisan, so we give equal voice to all parties, and we provide a print product for our citizens to read to make a decision on who they'd like to vote for.
And that's a voter guide, isn't it?
A voter
And I
guide.
believe it's going to be distributed or mailed
Yes.
for free to all residents in Eden Prairie or households.
Right.
And Minnetonka residents who live in Senate District 49.
Good point, exactly.
And I want to stress we are a nonpartisan newspaper.
Yes.
And we want the facts known by you guys and gals in Minnetonka and Eden Prairie.
Right. And we have a wonderful relationship with all the candidates who are more than happy to provide us with their answers to the tough questions that we ask.
Are we going to be selling advertising for this thing?
Yes, our community partners, as we call them, sponsor not only our print product but our online product. So we get a lot of businesses supporting us as well as candidates. So you'll see candidates running ads promoting their positions. So absolutely, as well as letters to the editor. We accept letters to the editor to support one or the other. So.
Boy, I'd like to see more letters to the editor.
Yes, we encourage as many as we can get, because when you're in digital, it's unlimited. We can publish as many as we can get.
And some of them just appear in our Facebook and social media platforms, too.
Yes, social media has been a wonderful way for us to interact and get comments from the community, because they can go onto their Facebook page, read our story, and make all the comments they want.
Mark Weber, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for having me.
We don't shake hands or hug, okay?
Okay.
We're true Minnesotans. Did you grow up in Minnesota?
I did, LeSueur, Minnesota.
LeSueur, I forgot that. The Jolly Green Giant.
Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah.
Democratic Visions is handcrafted by volunteers from Eden Prairie, Hopkins, Minnetonka, Edina, and Bloomington. Watch us on select cable systems and on our YouTube channel. This is Carol Sundstrom.